2 hours, I was pretty like, I'm going to die. I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd joined the Army. I wish I listened to my dad. And then after I rolled across the airfield, it did get shot magically and shot back. And I was like, I got this. We're almost there now. We're halfway there. And then I found the guy and I was like, he went for help. I was probably about half a mile out. So I crawled about an hour, but it was 7 hours of crawling. And the sun was up.
Welcome to Combat Story. I'm Ryan Fugit, and I served Warzone tours as an Army attack helicopter pilot and CIA officer over a 15-year career. I'm fascinated by the experiences of the elite in combat. On this show, I interview some of the best to understand what combat felt like on their front lines. This is Combat Story. Today on Combat Story, we have our first of two interviews with 32-year veteran and retired Special Forces Sergeant Major Randall Surles. He entered the Army in 1987 and retired in 2019. Randy saw combat early on in Operation Just Cause as a Ranger, and then again on multiple rotations post 9/11. In this episode, we cover Randy's experience in Panama and attending Lancero training in Colombia, which you can think of as something like Ranger School without any safety nets. In round two, we dive into his time leading Green Berets in the post 9/11 era. Randy now helps veterans write their own memoirs as a ghostwriter with the aptly titled website, themilitaryeditor.com. With that, please enjoy our first round interview with Randall Surles. Randy, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us.
No, thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited to talk to you. I've listened to your show for a while. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't listen to everything, but we subscribe and I pick and choose the ones that are awesome.
I love it. You've listened to one more than my wife has, so that's great. I wanted to kick off because when you reached out originally, your story is fascinating. Like there's so many I think there are a lot of laughs in here and a lot of very serious moments that we'll get into. But you've transitioned out of the military after over, I think, 3 decades. And you're helping write other people's stories, military memoirs, which I think, coming from somebody who's trying to tell stories as well, I just very much admire and can appreciate how hard that is. I looked you up as militaryeditor.com, but you said you had another name when you started out that's also up still. And I thought there might be something funny there that we could start with.
Yeah. So when I started to edit and ghostwrite people's memoirs, and I also do fiction, I had written my own book. I got an MFA in creative writing from University of Texas, and I had to write a thesis, and I took the course and studied it to write books. So I wrote a book for my thesis, and most people, I didn't realize this till later, they create short stories during the 3-year MFA course, and then they compile them, they tweak them, and they turn them in. And I'm hammering out a 400-page story about the first female Green Beret. And females weren't even allowed in Green Berets when I finished this. And I was like, I was like, this is going to happen someday. So I'm going to write this book and it's going to be a bestseller. And I didn't even know what I was doing because I honestly, the MFA did not prepare me to write a novel. And when I hammered it out and I finished it, I had to defend my novel in front of a board like you do for a thesis. But I'm like, it's a fictional story. What are they going to say? And all my peers are like, aren't you nervous? It's like, about what? I wrote the book. What are they going to say? Oh, what was that guy thinking? I was like, let me tell you what he's thinking, because I know I wrote the book. Yeah. And so I got there. It was super easy. And they said, hey, we really like the book. And so I was like, I'm going to publish this. So I got an editor, and I was in the VA hospital getting assessed for my discharge. And the nurse is like, I'm a writer, and I use this editor called the Story Mechanic. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's clever. And so I looked her up, and she's like, do you need a tune-up? Do you need, she's all using these catchy words. And I hired her, and I didn't like the feedback that much. Not that she wasn't wrong, but it wasn't as much as I wanted. And then 2 years later, I'm editing books, and I got my own business, and I'm like, oh, I need something like the Story Mechanic. Like, what could I do? And so I'm like, I was just screwing around every day. And when I was in the military, I used to say ninja all the time. I was like, oh, that's like a ninja thing, and it's ninja that. And people used to call me, they didn't call me ninja, but they would put like on the plaques, at the end, they'd say ninja. And so I was like, ooh, the Story Ninja. I could be the Story Ninja. Do you need, can I I'll cut your thing up. I was just trying to think of all these metaphors. And so I went and registered. I live in Texas. I went down to the City Hall and registered my business as a Story Ninja, and it still is registered. And then later on, when I realized what my focus was going to be, because I didn't initially go straight to military. I was like, I'll edit anything. I love fantasy science fiction thrillers, and you really have to niche in this business. So I had an advisor for a while, and he was like, I was like, I don't know how to get Google to work. I don't get anybody. No one comes to my webpage looking for me to work. And he's like, what do you do? I was like, I'm a military editor. I do this and this. And he's like, what's your stupid domain name? Why don't you have military editor? It's available. I was like, oh, so stupid.
You're actually lucky that was available. That's that's a great one.
Yeah. So the military editor was taken. And this is a young lady. It's an Italian journalist who's married to an enlisted Air Force guy that got out. And she considers herself she writes military memoirs, among other things, too. So when I got militaryeditor.com, I was like, I hope she doesn't, bleed over to me and get upset. But she's number one. And I don't know, I can't bump her, but I'm number two. And so I got the domain name, and it hooks over to my Story Ninja page. And
cool.
so now they're all connected.
All right. That's a good one. And I mean, growing up, Randy, were you just a voracious reader? Is that where this comes from?
Absolutely. So, I mean, in fact, when I edit what I loved to read when I was a kid, which is fantasy, science fiction, and thrillers, I overwhelm them like, hey, so you're kind of writing a book like this by this. Have you read this author? And I'll be suggesting things. And I'm like, hey, so I think your best structure would be to kind of go this direction, and you should read this author and this author. And so I'm really good at advising people for comp titles. And then when I was in the military, back before super phones and computers and stuff. I mean, we had like one laptop per team when I came in the late 80s, and we used to bring trunk loads of VHS. Like everyone would bring everything they had, Gladiator, Patriot, and all that stuff. So I don't know how many times I've seen that stuff. And once someone brought a video recorder, and then I would bring a Contigo box full of books, and I would say, okay, I need to learn about business, so I'm going to read at least these 3 business books. I mean, I go to Barnes and Noble the day before and spend like half my per diem for my first month. And then I would say, I'm going to read these because I had fancy books I'm going to bring. And then I'm going to read these because I want to learn more about leadership. And I'd have a trunk full of 20, 30 books easy. And then I'd knock them all out. I mean, yeah, I love to read. And I actually made my webpage. I learned how to make a webpage because I made a book. I got a book, learn how to do a web page with Front Page, which they don't even make anymore, which is a Microsoft product. And in 24 hours, I took it with me to Guatemala. I made my Food Dudes web page down there, and I brought it up, uploaded it, and started the business.
That is amazing. So when it comes to military memoirs, I'm assuming you consume quite a few. Are there one or two that come to mind that you just really enjoy?
People read memoirs for different reasons, right? And people write memoirs for different reasons.
Good point.
My favorite biographies, I read like all the POW biographies. I read Nick Rose. That was like one of the first biographies I read. Also, the Chief Warrant Officer Durant. Is that the one that got in? Yeah. Him. I thought that was great. And so I've ghostwritten and I've edited probably about 12 now in the last 5 years. And a lot of guys come to me and they're like, here, I wrote everything about my life. Here it is. And I'm like, okay, what's your purpose? He's like, I want to write my memoir. People are going to read it. Everyone's going to love it. And so I read his book and I'm like, look, this is a biography. This is your life. This is, you telling your story, but it's not oriented towards any specific type of person. Like, are you talking to privates? Privates will get something from this book. What will privates get from this book? Because it's written from you who went to, I think you went to West Point. I'm not sure. And so you went to college, you came in as a lieutenant, you had this officer life. What are the privates going to learn? The sergeant's going to learn from your life. What are you teaching them? Is it just one chapter, interesting chapter about Just Cause or something like that? Because no one's going to read this for one chapter. No one's going to put $30 for a hardback and say, oh, I got something out of the Just Cause chapter, but I didn't really care about all the other OCS and all this other stuff. And I was like, and the generals are writing their own books, and they're not going to really care about your book. And so is this for lieutenants? Because if you're writing about your stuff at major and above, the lieutenants aren't interested in that yet. So and you're not famous enough for them to be interested in this. So if you're writing this as a legacy, which is one type of memoir for your family and friends, you're going to sell 20 or 30 copies, and your family and friends and you're going to be on Amazon, and you may even be a bestseller on Amazon. That's pretty, we can talk about that later. It's, there's all kind of algorithms and categories and manipulation you can do. I published, I helped the guy that I ghostwrote his book. He's a Vietnam vet, A1 pilot skyraider. And he was also in charge of all the air for the evacuation of the Saigon. And wow. He was also flying a fighter with a nuclear bomb on it during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He has a crazy story, right? And I wrote his book, and I wrote it really well, but no one's writing biographies on Vietnam. So if Amazon's like 500 categories. If there's software to search those categories and find out, hey, if you sell 10 books the day this book goes on the market, you're a number one bestseller in Vietnam biographies. And so, he said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you help me get this put it on Amazon? Because I was like, yeah, let me do it. So I helped him with his son, get it all in there. And then within like a week, number one bestseller, Vietnam biographies, number one bestseller, Cold War biographies, number one bestseller, aeronautics biography. And I took screenshots and I sent it to him. I was like, hey man, congratulations, you're number one bestseller. He's 85 years old. He thought that was fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
If I recall from doing homework on this, despite being an avid reader, you decide to leave college to join the military. Is that right?
Or college decides to leave me.
Okay. Yeah. So what happens?
Yeah. So I had a really nice upbringing, at least middle class, if not upper middle class. My dad worked for Ross Perot.
Wow.
My first time we went overseas, we moved overseas and did overseas accounts with Ross Perot's Electronic Data Systems, his computer company. First place we went to was Iran, 77. 76, 77. We got evacuated out during the revolution.
No way. And how old were you?
I was in third grade. No, I was in fifth grade. I did third to fifth grade. So I was in fifth grade. So what, 10, maybe 10, 12, something like that. And there was riots in the streets. There's tanks in the streets every night. There was machine gun fire. It was kind of a COVID scenario where we went home from school because there were riots outside our school, and we took off 2 weeks. We went back for a week. The professors just like, if you go home again, do all these handouts. And they had just spent the 2 weeks photocopying stuff. Yeah. And then we went away for a month. The next time we never went back. Jeez. And then Ross Perot was pro-military, hired a lot of military. So my dad was interviewing for him. He did like 4 or 5 interviews. Then they went to his house and interviewed my mom before they hired him and stuff like that. It was a pretty thorough interview. And then and almost everybody that worked for him at the time was ex-military. And my dad wasn't. He was a reservist, but he didn't go to Vietnam. And they're like, why should we hire you? You didn't fight in combat. Your leadership skills. And my dad's like, I can do anything. Ask me a question. I'll do anything. Give me a project. What do you want me to do? He's like, good answer. You're hired. And, but my dad had just finished working with IBM for NASA, and he was working on the computers during the moon landing. So he had a pretty good background in education as well. And so we went to Iran, which was obviously a big culture shock. I remember my dad's like, okay, we're going to go to this place. It's going to be a little different. There's going to be these things that are maybe aren't available. And I was like, whatever. I was in fifth grade. I was in third grade at the time. And I was like, will there be ketchup? He's like, we can bring our own ketchup if that's the problem.
Drive a hard bargain, but yes.
That's right. So it was, I don't remember anything unpleasant. And even when there was tanks in the street and machine gun fire, as young as I was, I never felt stressed. And my parents would, we'd have blackouts, and my parents would, have flashlight games, and we'd go to the roof and watch the gunfire, and it wasn't. And then eventually, 2 of the guys, I don't know if you know the story, but Ross Perot contracted Ken Follett to write the story of his rescue of two of his managers that were that were arrested. So,
I know that.
Yeah, it's called On the Wings of Eagles. It's funny enough. And they also made a movie about it that starred some pretty famous people at the time, a TV movie.
Yeah.
So basically they arrested two of the main guys. They were down there. I think my dad told me they were down there working on Social Security for the Iranians, for the Iranian government. And they were programming the computers and everything. And there's a revolution. The Shah was sick. He was leaving. The Khomeini was coming in. There was all kinds of stuff in the streets. And they cornered our two managers, and they're like, "Hey, you haven't complied with your contract." And so they arrested him and threw him in prison. And the buildup, everyone was military. So we got people reporting back to Ross, and he's like, and all the military like, "Let's make a phone tree." So we got a phone tree. Let's practice the phone tree at 3 a.m. Everyone, make sure you call everyone. How long did it take to get a hold of everybody? Everyone have a suitcase packed in case we need to go to the airport. And so as soon as those two got, and everyone have 3 routes to the airport and practice them and make sure you know them by heart. And, the flag went up. The 2 guys got arrested. The third guy in charge of the chain of command's like, "Ross, those 2 got arrested, or activate Alpha Ninja plan," or whatever.
Yeah.
And so everyone goes to the airport. Ross finagles a huge plane to land that just take his guys out. And, everyone, that airport's crowded as hell, right? It's crazy, just like in Argo, pretty much.
Yep.
And some of the people adopted little Iranian babies, and they didn't have any papers for them or passports or nothing. So they're smuggling them underneath their stuff, while a person who speaks half-assed Iranian Persian is like in front of the passport guy, and people are just like going past him and getting on the plane.
Wow.
And then he ships everyone to Turkey, and then we have to stay overnight in like the big Hilton, ice sculpture Hilton there. And some guy, my dad said, he brought all the heads of family into the conference room, and this guy comes out with a suitcase just full of cash. He's like, "Hey, $5,000 per person. I'm going to be here for a couple days. We'll get you out. We'll get you back to Texas as soon as we can." And then my dad said, when they got back to Texas, Ross Perot called each family and said, "Hey, I don't think we're going back. Make a list of everything you left behind, put a price tag on it, no guarantees. We'll see what happens."
What a stand-up guy, huh?
And then he said he paid everything my dad asked for. My dad was pretty, like, I'm not going to try to screw the guy. I just want whatever. We had Persian carpets and hand-carved, rocking chairs from Pakistan and all kinds of stuff there. And I have no baby photos from before 5th grade, except for whatever my grandparents had. So, and then we lived in London for 6 months, where I finished 5th grade. Then we moved to the Netherlands for 5 years, and then back to London. I graduated high school in London. So
American school or what?
American school in London. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So I got evacuated out of Pakistan when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
Not as tumultuous. It was the Gulf War. So they pulled us out kind of middle of the night. My dad stayed behind with just a skeleton crew at the embassy. But I definitely remember being at the airport, like getting ripped out.
Just a quick word from our sponsor, Delete Me, and we'll get right back to this combat story. Having spent many years in the security space, I'm acutely aware of how much personal information is floating around on the web and what bad actors can do with it, from identity theft to phishing, harassment, doxing, unwanted spam calls, and more. That's why I personally recommend Delete Me. Delete Me finds and removes any personal information you don't want online and makes sure it stays off. Sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. I love the regular, personalized privacy reports they send me, showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. Delete Me isn't just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now, at a special discount for our listeners, today get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting COMBAT to 64000. Text COMBAT to 64,000. The only way to get 20% off is to text COMBAT to 64,000. That's COMBAT to 64,000. Disclaimer, message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. And now, back to this combat story.
So I found the quote also that's attributed to Ross. Eagles don't flock. You have to find them one at a time.
Yeah, that's
something like that. Okay. So wait, I mean, so you grew up in like these great schools. You go to college, and college might not be for you. So what's the story there?
My dad was really motivated. He went to North Texas, that's where he met Mom, and he had a great time. He was a fraternity, and he would have loved if I went to that fraternity. And I was just like, actually, I never knew a recruiter. I didn't know anyone who joined the military. I saw Rambo when I was like, whatever. And I just didn't feel like I'd been challenged in my life. And school came easy to me, but I wasn't interested. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was like, Dad, I'd really like to join the military. And Dad was in the reserves, but he hated. I won't say he hated, but he wasn't a big fan of it during Vietnam too.
Yeah.
So he wasn't a big fan. And he's like, no, why don't you try college for a year, and then I think you're going to fall in love with it, like I did. It's going to be great. And so we're getting all these things in the mail. And so, what about this one? What about this one? I was like, I don't know, just whatever. And so I got accepted to everything. I applied to Rice. I applied to Worcester Tech. I applied to Trinity University in San Antonio, and I applied to Baylor. Got accepted them all. My dad bribed me. He said, if you get a scholarship, I'll give you half the money. Trinity gave me the best scholarship. Nice. So I went to Trinity in San Antonio. Didn't like it. Didn't go to school much. I'd never driven before, so I got my driver's license there. And I was like, ooh, a car, and I can drive. And also, I never watched real cable TV because I'd been living overseas. So I was like, ooh, TV. David Letterman's awesome. And so I didn't do as much work as I should have. I got really low grades the first semester. I did better the second semester, and then I got in a car accident the week before finals. I didn't get hurt, but I totaled my car, and then I slept through all my finals. And then I was like, okay, I got a 1.2 or whatever.
But is it all because you had this idea in your mind, like, I'm going to the military anyway?
I couldn't honestly tell you. I just was not very motivated. I was doing an engineering degree, but I really didn't care. I couldn't honestly tell you what I was doing with my time. I've read a lot of books, nothing for college, but I read a lot of books. Didn't have any great friends. I made a couple of friends, but I didn't have any great friends. I know. So your roommates can see where you come from. They could see you. Hey, he's coming from New Mexico. Well, they knew I was coming from London. And my uncle was a World War II warrant pilot, and he took me to the Air Force to get my haircut before I went, and they buzzed me. So I walk in like I'm a skinhead from London, and they thought I was going to speak with a British accent too. Yep. And they're like, hey guys, what's up? Like, are you British? You sound American. I was like, I'm a Texan. And so, but I don't keep in contact with anybody from college except for one guy who was an ROTC, funny enough. And then one of my friends that I did have there was, he had a buddy, his brother was in the Marines, and they let Marines go through the Q course at the time. And he went to the Charlie course, and he was telling me about it. And I was like, that sounds really cool. I think I'm going to join the Marines. And then the ROTC guy's like, I think you should join the Army, because if you don't like the job you're doing, you can change it. And there's a lot more choices in the Army. And so I was like, well, what should I do? He's like, well, if you wanted to be a Marine and now you're going to join me, I think you should be a Ranger. Okay. So I went to the recruiter and I said, I want to be a Ranger. And he's like, well, let me show you some movies. And I was like, okay, some VHS movies. And they showed me, I guess they were low on commo guys that year. So you can lay commo wire along the ground. And then they got someone digging a ditch under the ground, and they got someone climbing a tree above the ground. It's like, yeah, I don't want that job. No. What else you got? Yeah. And so I come back and I said, hey, Dad, I told him I was going to talk to the recruiter, and I came back. It's like, I'm going to be a Ranger. I think I signed up that day for delayed entry. And he's like, I told you you should pick a job so you could do something outside world, because he was a generator repair guy, and man, he can fix anything. Like he could. Yeah, I bet. He rebuilt a Jeep in Iran from scratch, and so I'd never been anything useful like that. No. And I was like, well, I asked if they had combat engineers in the Rangers, and they didn't have them. So I didn't go that way. I went Ranger.
Jeez.
And so I got a Ranger contract.
Yeah.
And so
how did he take it in the end?
we have different memories. We talk about this.
Huh.
He remembers being very supportive. I remember him being upset.
Yeah.
So it was probably somewhere in between.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So, and just for people for context, because you spend a lot of time in uniform, this is 87 you join it.
Correct.
Okay. 87. And one of the things I noticed that you mentioned was you're in one of the earlier cycles of sniper training within Ranger Regiment. Is that right?
Yeah. I was one of the first Army sniper classes because they had the Army sniper. They had the Army sniper school in Benning. It was only 3 weeks long. And it was one of the first classes, and they hadn't really figured it out, to tell you the truth, in my opinion, because the way they were grading was weird. I was a terrible stalker. So I failed stalking. You could fail one event. You had stalking, you had range finding, you had like observation, where you would say it's so far out, it's shaped like this and things like that. And then you had the shooting part. So I was just a horrible stalker. And I think I just didn't have the patience, maybe. I don't know. And then the very first time we did the observation, you had to fill this grid out, right? You had to make I don't know if you've been, but you had to make a kind of a range card, and you had to label all of the things that were out there, 1 to 10 or whatever. And then you wrote 1 and you said, okay, this is the color, this is the location, the range, this how far away it is, this is what it's shaped like, and describe it, and what you might think it was. And I didn't number them, and I got a 0. I mean, I did everything else, but I didn't number them. And I think they said it like 5 times. Hey, you got to number your stuff. You don't number, you get a 0. So I got a 0 on the first one. And then there's no way to come back from that. I didn't get 100 on every single one after that, but I got like 90 to 100 on the other 5. But then I scored like an 80, and you can't, and that was considered a fail, or a 70 or something because of the average.
Yeah. And
when I went to the board, I just said, I mean, why did you keep me this long? They're like, what did you mean? I was like, I mean, you gave me a 0 on the very first one, and there's no way mathematically I could have ever come back, even if I got 100% on the other 6 or 5 or whatever. And they're like, I don't understand what you're saying. It's like, so I turned the whiteboard and I did math for them. I accept I didn't pass, and I didn't follow instructions, and that's fine, because I mean, I could have passed stalking and we wouldn't even be here, but I suck at stalking. But anyway, thanks. It was great training. And I left, and then I think they had a powwow. Guy comes running after me. I remember his name was Sergeant Strange, and he's like, hey, come with me. And he set up a lane, and he says, do it.
No
and
way.
I said, I did it. And then they accepted that. And so I passed.
Wow. And I can't even imagine that hanging over your head for every other event, that like, this is all pointless, but still working hard at it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, yeah. So, but, nothing compared to Sodix, but I didn't go to Sodic, but I know Sodix is a lot tougher. It's 6 weeks long and stuff like that, but it was it. And I went before I went to Ranger School. I went to Ranger School like a couple months later.
Wow. What was it like late 80s in Ranger Regiment? Like, I mean, it wasn't as well known as it is today, obviously. It had to have been a pretty big deal to be in that. Right.
So it wasn't, I mean, it was a feeder definitely for Delta and Green Berets. So it was kind of a mix, half 50-50. In my opinion, my platoon was a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. After 4 years, 1/3 of them got out. 1/3 of them went to Special Ops or Special Forces, Green Berets, and one tried out for Delta. So it was, I don't know if it's still like that. I think more of them go Delta now than anything. But every day was a Ranger day. I don't know if it's still like that.
What does that
seriously
mean for people listening?
It means, especially if you lived in the barracks, like the married guys got a break, right? They went home, went home late, but they went home. And there's no one hovering. But when you're in the barracks, you got the NCOs that were living in the barracks. They're
You do whatever they
maybe
say.
Sadists maybe might be a harsh word, but it's pretty close. Plus they're drinking, and then they go, come with me, private. I'm like, where are we going? We're going out there where they can't hear you scream. And like, that doesn't sound like fun. And so, it was never a physical abuse, except that physical abuse that I applied to myself, like keep doing push-ups until that square there is covered in your sweat. And if it's not, and if you're not a sweater, I feel sorry for you. And, things like that. So it was like every day, every PT, there's no long, slow runs. Every PT was a sprint, however many miles it was. And especially when you're low man on the totem pole and you're the, crosswalk guy, the safety guard, you're sprinting to the front every 5 seconds, especially in Fort Benning where they have a road every 5 meters. So I was very fit. I was lean. And I could ruck, I could run. I was perfect for training for the Cree course, that's for sure.
Dang.
So, and here's the thing, I always tell people when they ask me, how to train up for these things, and obviously the Q course and RIP was RIP back then. RIP was not an instructional course when I went through. And that RASP is a 6 weeks, and I think they have like a 2-week gut check or so, and then they start training you how to shoot and how to run a radio and be a productive person when you get to the squad. But when RIP was 3 weeks of, I don't know what the plan was, but we did like the obstacle course like twice a day. And then we did push-ups for 4 hours with your eyes closed until someone quit. And then we did, a ruck march every afternoon. And then maybe they're like, hey, today we're going to do land nav, which is still a ruck march, but it's basically less people following you, barking at you. And then it's right next to Cardiac Hill. I don't know if RASP is still there, but Fort Benning, for those of you who haven't been there, right next to the airfield is this huge hill called Cardiac Hill, and just up and down, buddy carry, all day, every day was an adventure.
Oh. Well, you had mentioned something I hadn't heard before, which was is it Dugway Desert Phase at Ranger School?
Yeah. So that was they don't remember desert. Well, they had Bliss after that, but the Dugway was desert phase. I don't know for how long, but fortunately for me, I guess I got to go there. So it was the fourth phase. You flew after you passed Florida, you flew to Dugway and did 2 weeks of desert ops, and they give you desert survival classes, and you jumped into the desert, and then they had this area which was just big rock formations, pretty high, that separated the live fire areas. You had the ambush and the raid and all that stuff. And basically, you just after you did the raid, you'd hike out into the desert. They'd switch leadership. You make a plan, and then you'd hike back to the other side of the rock to do the raid or whatever. And then I think I may have been the only class to graduate in Dugway because the air got canceled. So like anyone who was supposed to come, they were in Benning and we were in Dugway, and they just graduated us out there with no audience or anything.
Hey. Well, shortly thereafter is Just Cause. Is that right? Like after you finish Ranger School? So
I get through that, and now I'm a specialist, because as soon as you get out of Ranger School you can't get back in the day, you wouldn't even get promoted to E4 unless you finish Ranger School. So I pin on specialist, and EIB comes up before. And the only reason I say this is because as a private, I went to EIB and passed. So now, you know what? I hadn't pinned on specialist yet. So I was at PFC with a tab and an EIB. And if you had an EIB, you were one of the instructor trainers. So now I'm an instructor trainer, and they gave me 2 lanes. They gave me the foxhole identification. So I had to dig the foxholes. I was the lowest ranking guy. So you get the crap job. Go dig 4 foxholes. 3 of them are crap because they don't meet the standards. They're not wide enough, long enough, deep enough, whatever. And one of them's good. So the guys come out there, which foxhole is good? And then you say, but I also did the IMT line with the lasers. I had the God gun. And and so I had a couple guys, a couple other privates that worked for me, and they would shoot blanks at them with the lasers as they would try to IMT. And then, if I thought the guy was just lucky, then I would got him and say, go do it again. My Ranger instructors didn't have their EIBs. And so the 4th RTB sent their guys to go through our 3rd Ranger Battalion EIB stuff. I got recycled twice for things probably I didn't think I deserved.
At Ranger School.
At Ranger School.
And so you got some payback coming.
That's right. I was like, damn, I don't think you did that right. I think you need to go to the beginning. It's like, what? What do you mean? It's like, he's like, you disagreeing with me? He's like, no. I was like, all right, we'll go back to the beginning there. So
that's awesome.
I didn't hold too many grudges. I still passed them, but I made them work for it.
That's great.
And so Just Cause comes along.
And actually,
someday,
Randy, on that, can you just describe what Just Cause is for people? Because I think not everybody is as familiar with it.
Sure. Operation Just Cause. Noriega is president of Panama. Who knows why we really invaded? There's so many, you probably know more about it I do. You probably read some file somewhere. But at the time, he was just a bad guy. But he may have been a CIA, spook guy, and the CIA didn't want him to talk, so they wanted him to take him down. He wasn't a nice guy, that's for sure. Yeah. But did we need to invade his country? I don't know, but we did. But the thing is, we had Americans on the ground that were or may not have been harassed by the Panamanian, military. We had numerous Air Force bases down there. We had Green Berets down there and all kinds of crazy stuff. And when you read the books, they got some crazy stories. And I want to say that Clint Eastwood's movie about Grenada, some of the stuff they did in Grenada, they kind of stopped. They took from the Operation Just Cause, when the Marines used the phone and called back home for fire or something like that. So there's a lot of interesting stuff in Just Cause. But so the Rangers led the way. We jumped into Rio Hato and the international airport and took them. The SEALs, swam in to try to take down Noriega's beach house in case he was there. CAG went into the prison to rescue the American. I forget his name now, but I read his book too. They took it. They rescued him, and that he's got a super interesting book too. I went to the prisoner, the POW courses they run out of Fredericksburg. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Yeah, so I went to those, and he was a guest speaker there, and he was selling his book, and he's just got some amazing stories. Wow. He was they were afraid the Americans were going to rescue him, so he's in a Panamanian prison, and they had a 50 cal right outside his cell aimed at him with a gunner, so that if anyone tried to get in there, they were supposed to shoot him. And when the war started, the guy skedaddled. Or I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was the guy looked at him and was like, what's going to happen, right? And the guy's like, out.
It's Kurt Buse, I think.
Yeah.
We've interviewed one of the Delta operators who crashed on that.
Oh, yeah.
Op. But interesting. Okay. So what was it like being a part of the unit, before going in? Because we weren't in many battles at that point.
So the thing is, though, we used to go to JOTC all the time. The Jungle Operations Training Center down in Panama, and so I had already been there twice, and we'd done the Jungle Training School and went through all their courses as a company and did all their raids and stuff. Funny story. So when I was in high school, I was in Europe. And so I took 2 years of Dutch, 2 years of French, and 2 years of Spanish. And we're about to go into Panama and we're doing rehearsals. And the lieutenant's like, who knows Spanish? And everyone's like, there are literally Hispanics in with Vasquez is their last name, right? But no one says anything. And I'm like, well, I took two. You're hard. Come here. And so I am the loudspeaker guy for the TL, right? For the PL. So the PL's like, okay, you're going to read this, and I was 3 years ago. And so I'm like, Pone su brazos en la aire, somos Rangers. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? So that was what I was supposed to do, and the PL, the platoon sergeant, knew I was a tabbed PFC. He's like, "Hey, you're going to be my driver," and I was like, "Hey, I don't know." It's like, shut the hell up and go get the Jeep. Now, we didn't have Hummers back then. We had the Jeeps, which are not automatic. And I don't know how to drive a stick, which is what I was trying to tell him. So I barely get the Jeep back because I stalled it like 15 times. And I'm just like, this isn't going to go well. And we're about to do a full rehearsal and on the airfield down there in Benning. And he gets in and he's like, let's go. And like, he's like, what's going on? Like, he's like, what are you doing? It's like, I don't know how to drive a stick. He's like, God, he just points at some random guy. He's like, do you know how to drive a stick? He's like, yes, Sarge. He's like, you're my new driver. You take his place wherever he is. And I was like, okay. So that's how I jumped in. Otherwise I was going to air land.
Talk to us about the jump. I've been excited to hear this.
So I think we get alerted like Sunday. And someone had bought like a keg on Sunday. So we were, some of us were halfway to the wind. I wasn't a big drinker, but there was like, there at least half of us we're halfway to the wind. So we get alerted all the time, in the Rangers, you're always on like whatever, 24-hour recall or like 3-hour recall. When we went to movies, we had to call halfway through the movie, go out and call on a payphone because they didn't have cell phones back there and say, yeah, sure. You had a 2-hour recall or something. So you go to a movie, halfway through the movie, someone in the group would have to go, hey, are we good? You're like, yeah, you're good. Then you watch the rest of the movie and then go back. And some people eventually got beepers, though they weren't very common and they were kind of spendy. And so, we got called back all the time. So we're getting called back and everyone's talking about Panama. And here's a funny story. So we had been practicing for this all year. We had done a bunch of full mission profiles on exactly what was going on, and people had already made training areas that looked just like where we were going and Rio Hato and everything like that. And so, there was no big preparations. We'd been preparing for this all year, and so we do a couple more rehearsals and then we get on and now I'm jumping, but I'm not jumping with my team or my squad. I just replaced that dude. And so, and of course people are like moving me around, like, what are you doing? Don't get in the middle of my team, and then push. So I'm in the back of the plane with the chaplain assistant. And so we jump. So we get, so a 6-hour ride. We have our rucks. They're like, I got mortar rounds, demo. I'm a saw gunner. So I got like, 1,800 rounds of saw ammo in there, extra grenades. I mean, the ruck is crazy. And they rig us up. They rig us up like 2 hours out, and there's heavy ruck on your thighs. And they have a 5-gallon jug that's a pisser that's just getting passed back and forth, slushing around.
Oh my God.
And
sounds
and also when after about 2 hours into the ride, everyone's asleep. And so you're just like, and I'm at the back and I'm like, hey, I got to piss. And so the guy's like, hey, I got to piss. Hey, I got to piss. Hey, I got to piss. It gets like 10 people down and you watch it fall asleep and you're like, God dang it. Hey, I got to piss. And then like it gets a little farther. And then you're just like, geez, I'm just going to piss on this guy. So finally we get all ready to go out and, people, there's rounds coming. Yeah. I can't see them, but there's rounds coming through the airplane. People are getting shot like in the door, and the jump masters are cutting them away and throwing them to the back of the bird, and then everyone keeps going, and I jump out. I'm like the second to last guy out, and 500 feet, like a couple seconds, your tracers coming up, and I hit a flagpole. I didn't know it was a flagpole at the time, but I break my tib fib. I didn't know it was broken at that time either. And, I hit the flagpole drags me back. Then I just follow the ground. And And then I'm pretty stoked. So I'm not feeling anything. I didn't feel any pain. And I get up, I get my ruck on, I stand on my leg, kind of supports me. I got it wrapped up with my boot pretty tight, I guess. And I'm like, that kind of hurts, but well, whatever. And so I start walking forward, and then I try to walk over a ditch, and my bad leg first, and then my bones just collapse. And so so I'm in this ditch. So I dump the ruck and I bury the ruck, and then I start crawling to the assembly point with the saw, which is like, it's really quiet, right? It's like a chunk, a chunk. And you kind of listen, and you're like, ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. And I'm the last one out. I'm at the very far end of the airfield. So there's a airfield on this side. There's an airfield on this side, left and right of me, for landing planes and stuff. And then there's a big grassy area in the middle, but it's got little grass huts in the middle, and there's trucks there and stuff. And so I get to the airstrip, and I know we're air landing too, and the sun's about to come up, and I'm just like looking around because I got to get across the airfield. So I just roll with my saw, just rolling. And somebody starts shooting at me, and I roll into the ditch, and then I turn around and shoot a couple rounds at that guy, and he stopped shooting at me, and then I kept crawling. Then another guy, a brand new guy, comes running up after me, and we exchange our codes. He's like, I was in this hole, they're surrounded, they were everywhere. And I was like, okay, man, do you know where you are? He's like, no. I was like, all right, see that the electrical lines up there, that's the highway. On the, this is the airstrip. So like 400 meters, that's where we're supposed to assemble. So just go up there, go right, and you'll find someone. And then if they're not busy, they could send someone back to get me. So about an hour and a half later, I just stayed there and waited to see what happened. And an hour and a half later, one of the Jeeps came back, and I flagged them down.
No concern. Like, how worried were you?
I don't remember being that scared at that moment. Like when I was by myself and no one knew where I was, and I was crawling, and I saw Panamanians running around. I mean, I actually, in the dark, I crawled up, and there was a deuce and a half in front of me, and I was like, holy shit. And I took a grenade, and I like took out the pin, and I'm like, and then I didn't see anybody. I didn't hear anybody. There's a radio going on in Spanish, that was excited. And then I put the pin back, and I was like, ka-chunk, 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 away, ka-chunked away. And so I think in the first 2 hours, I was pretty like, I'm going to die. I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd joined the army. I wish I listened to my dad, and then after I rolled across the airfield, it did get shot magically and shot back. And I was like, I got this. We're almost there now. We're halfway there. And then I found the guy, and I was like, he went for help. I mean, I don't know. We're America. We probably won a war already. And we probably did actually. Yeah. But, so I waited for him. I was probably about half a mile out, but it was 7 hours of crawling, and it was the sun was up.
7 hours?
Yeah, we did the thing at 2 in the morning, and it was probably 9 or something when they picked me up.
Wow.
So they put me on the hood. They drove me to the med shed, which was full of people that were really hurt, like shot and stuff. And there wasn't enough medics to go around. And they say, what's wrong? And it's like, I don't know. I broke my leg. Give me some splint. I'll splint my leg. So I splinted my leg. And then they're like, okay, you're flying out tonight. And they put me in a kind of a waiting area. And then I flew out that night back to the U.S. to BAMC in San Antonio. The problem was I was like the extra bed in the room, but there was no logistics, like accounting logistics for like food. So they kept forgetting to feed me. Oh. And so I didn't eat for like almost 2 days.
Yikes.
So I called my parents, and I said, my dad, we also have different memories of this conversation. So I called, and my dad says, because we're pretty sarcastic. He's like, so did you just come back from Panama? And what I remember was, he's like, what's going on? Why are you calling me so late? And I said, oh, I just jumped into Panama, and I'm in the hospital in San Antonio. And so everyone got excited, but they were leaving for London the next day for Christmas. And so like, oh God, we're going to cancel our plans. It's like, I don't think that's necessary. I just broke my leg. I'm fine. You can go to London. It's a big deal. So they went to London, and couple days later, General Vuano came and, pinned awards and cool. CIBs and stuff. Yeah, and so he was pinning the CIB. I was like, hey, sure, can you blood that? He's like, you want me to blood that? He's a big guy too. He's like, you want me to blood this? I was like, yeah. So he's like, ugh. And so that was cool. And then they take all the people they're going to fly back that they're going to send home. They take us to clothing and sales, and they're like, pick out, go get your Class A set up and blah blah blah. And we're all looking around. And it's San Antonio. They don't have black berets. They don't have CIBs. They don't have Jack, right? And I was like, "Hey, sure," because it was just the head nurse or something, or maybe it was the PA, the public affairs officer or something. And I was like, "Hey, sure. I think I speak for everyone that I don't think we would like to wear our Class A's because you don't have any of the awards we have. You don't have our beret. I prefer just a clean pair of BDUs and a PC personally. And I think everyone else would like the same." And he's like, "Really? Does everyone want that?" And they're like, "Yeah." It's like, "Okay, sounds great." And then we can put our Ranger tab on it, and we can, airborne wings, and we can color it gold in the middle for our star or whatever. Yeah. So I flew back to Fort Benning. I was the first casualty back. They thought it was going to be a war, and the fifth floor was empty. They'd moved everybody out of the fifth floor, and they had 20 nurses standing by, and I was there. So I had 20 nurses like, "What can we do for you? Want me to make you a sandwich? What's going on? Yeah. Want to play checkers?" So that was cool. And then I flew home for convalescent leave, and with a big cast on my leg. And then when I got the cast off, I started training for Q course.
Jeez. So just out of curiosity, when you got back to the regiment, when everybody else got back and redeployed, are they talking trash to you? Like, "Hey man, glad you made it into the war," and then left on day one? Or are they pretty good about it?
Yeah, they were pretty good. No one, I don't remember. I mean, maybe behind my back. No one said anything. I don't think so. No one said anything because I wasn't the only one. I mean, 500 feet, there was a lot of broken legs. There was tons of Rangers with broken legs. I mean, I think that's all figured into the math, right? Yep. Hey, we're going to jump at 500 feet so no one gets shot, but we're probably going to take 10%, 15% broken legs,
Yeah.
Because you can't control it. Well, you can't control T10s anyway, but at least if you see what's coming on, you might be able to avoid a flagpole or a fence.
So you mentioned the Q course. You go right into that. Was that always your plan, kind of in Ranger Battalion or in the regiment to go there?
So I didn't even know what a Green Beret was. I never saw the movie. I knew Rambo was supposed to be a Green Beret, but of course he's not a real Green Beret. He didn't do what Green Berets really did. He was more of a Ranger or Mac V guy or something. So first of all, I went to PLDC and got promoted to E5, and I was honor grad out of that. And then because then I went to a brief about Green Berets, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like the next evolution," because I'm also very logical mathematically. I've obviously from the sniper, but just okay, for promotion purposes, I can't stay in the Rangers forever. There's one E7 for 30 people. There's one, it's a pyramid and it's got a steep incline, So when you get to a certain level, most people are making E6 in 4 years, and then what? If you don't get selected for as an E7, you're going out to the real army, and that's scary because that's not the Rangers. And so I went to a couple different briefings, and the Green Berets sounded really interesting to me they just presented it the way they presented it. I was like, "Hey, it's a thinking man's game, and you're gonna, and you're gonna go to a lot of different countries." And of course, I traveled most of my life, and I was like, "This sounds cool." So as soon as they found out that I was going to be a Green Beret, they pulled me out of the platoon. The armor and the MBC NCO, who were both Ranger qualified, and were MOS qualified as armor and the NBC NCO, came up with a plan. They had a 60 that went down in Panama. So they They DX'd it in Panama as a loss, carried it on the plane, the invisible M60 that didn't have to account for, and they rebuilt it with all their armor tools and ordering parts and stuff. And then they called a shop, a pawn shop in Bragg and said, "Hey, I got a 60. You want to buy it?" And the guy's like, "Hell yeah. When can you be here?" It's like, "We'll be there this weekend." Great. Hangs up. FBI. Hey, I got an M60 machine gun coming in this weekend. Do you want to participate? And so the funny thing is they got demoted, they got extra duty, and then they got out of the Army, probably with an other than honorable, but they weren't treated. They didn't get thrown in jail. They didn't. I mean, I think the FBI threw them in jail for a little bit to interrogate them, but make sure they weren't white supremacists. I guess when they just realized they were stupid Joes, they're like, that was a dumb thing to do. So then I'm the NBC guy because they don't have a company NBC guy. They're like, "Hey, we need an NBC guy. Send Randy to NBC school." And he could be the NBC guy until he leaves, till we get an NBC guy to replace this when the MTO rolls around.
NBC, for folks listening, nuclear biochem, like you take care of the gear that people use.
Right. And you make sure they do their training and stuff like that.
Not a great position.
No.
All right.
And that's when they make fun of you, right? You're the NBC guy. So I go to NBC school, honor grad at NBC school, and I come back and it's a really chill job. I mean, I got a bunch of equipment that has to be inspected quarterly and semi-annually, and I make an Excel spreadsheet, and no one could do that back then because it was brand new.
Yeah, you're like a savant.
That's right. and I even though I was the honor grad, I really didn't. I mean, they sent me to the short course, so I didn't really know what I was doing. And someone brings in something one day. I remember this. Someone brings in like a pellet. It's got the CS tester. That, if you breathe in, you're crying and stuff. He's like, "What's this?" And it was so hot. I had these industrial fans down there that were blowing through my thing.
Oh, no.
And I was like, "What's this?" Like, I don't know. I open it, goes up. I'm in the basement, blows through the whole company. And everyone's like,
CS?
Yeah. Well, no, it was the testers that they do in like basic training to do that. It wasn't fun, but it wasn't like real CS, right? And so everyone's like, from the first sergeant's office all the way to the platoon sergeants, they don't know what's going on, but they're just all that. Because all the other fans are blowing in their fans, and it just went. And I was like, "Oops!" And I was like, "I'm just gonna close my door."
Yeah.
Anyway, so funny story, but so yeah, I'm the NBC guy, and then I get my orders to go to I go to SFAS January of 91. So break my leg, get the cast off in March, April, go to PLDC, come back, honor grad from PLDC. Hey, you're going to be the NBC guy. So I'm like, all right. So I go to the NBC thing, come back. So now it's like August, 4 months to train up, but really every day is a training day in the Rangers. I mean, I honestly always say, when people are saying, "Hey, how'd you train for Rangers?" Because I passed Rangers first time. I passed the Q course the first time. And I was like, wow. It's more about cardio. Like, if you can run without getting gassed, you're probably going to do good. I mean, throw some ropes in there and you're good. Right. And I think that's the delineator for almost everything I've ever done. Almost everything is, it's like, hey, rucking and making sure you can ruck the next day or run the next day or whatever, right? And so I was not a great runner. I was in cross country in high school. In high school, I was mediocre. In the Army, I was above average. I was running 12-minute 2 miles, maybe sub 12 sometimes out of basic. Yeah. And like, obviously it's not Olympics, but it puts you on the map. And you're not number one, usually you're number 3 or 4, but I was stronger than the 1, 2, and 3 because they're runners and I'm not.
Yeah.
So I was like above average. And like, I just like to say I was above average in everything, but I think the running is what put me on the map really. Cause as long as you're not gassed at the end of it, you can do other things and think, then you move forward. So I kept running, I kept rucking, but I was always very calculating, like, okay, what's the worst thing they can do in the Q course? I mean, they have so many weeks to do it for the SFAS. So, and they got to do a lot of different things. So maybe it's a 12-hour ruck march at the standard, which is 4 miles, so 48 miles. So I'll go ruck 50 miles in a row to prove that I can, and then I won't worry about anything else. Whatever mystery they send at me, it won't be worse than that. So I had a friend drop me off in Alabama, and I walked from Alabama and past the, in the back roads of Fort Bragg, and because they didn't have gates back then, and then past the airfield,
right?
Yeah. Fort Benning, yeah. And I did the 50 miles, and I did it. I did it in sub 15-minute miles, and I was like, oh, I think I can do it.
This.
Whatever,
cool.
Whatever they, and I was climbing ropes with just my hands, because I knew ropes were always involved in these stupid things. And so I went, and I didn't have any problems physically or land nav or anything like that. So
you go to 7th group, right? What language do you pick up for that?
Well, so I got picked up for medic. Let's go there. I went to San Antonio. I was there for a year, and I flunked out and academically. I flunked out with meds, the pharmacology. I flunked pharmacology. And I go before this board, and the board's run by a colonel who's a nurse, not an SF guy. And there's a couple cadre there. And she's like, well, you passed all of the skills tests, like IVs, NG tubes, all that. But the problem is, when people don't pass those, and that's why they appear before me, those guys, we can retrain. But you failed, a mental academic test, so we just don't think you're smart enough. So we're gonna fail you, and we're gonna reclassify you. And I was like, what? But what? So and that was it. I didn't have a say in it. There was no rebuttal. So I reported the first sergeant, and he's like, all right, so we got to figure it out with MOS. It's like, I'm really good at math. I'd like to be an engineer. It's like, you're a freaking ranger. You're going to be a Bravo. And so I went to the Bravo course, and there was probably 20 of the Bravos in my course failed out of the medical course. I guess they were low on Bravos that year. I don't know. Okay. So I get through the Bravo course, but I had never shot a gun before. I didn't know anything about guns. And all of a sudden I'm thrown into gun hell, like every gun known to man, like
well,
10.
No, you had to have been, like you going through Ranger Regiment?
So Ranger Regiment, I fired M16A2, the SAW, and the grenade launcher. That's it. I didn't even fire a pistol. And because the pistol goes to the chaplain's assistant and the medic. Right. And the officers, I think, maybe get it, but no one else gets it. In fact, funny story, after I got out of Ranger school, we had a new team leader show up, and he was like, hey, I'm going to make sure everyone knows all these skills. So every week I'm going to give you a skill, squad leaders, and you got to train your guys to do it. So I show up at a Ranger school, and the squad leader didn't train the guys to do the M9 Beretta. And they had to disassemble it and assemble it. And there was a time, it was the SQT book. Remember? I don't know if you knew what those,
Yeah.
So there was a standard and everything. And one time while we were cleaning weapons, I asked the medic to show me the pistol, and he showed it to me. I was like, okay, cool. But I'm never going to shoot it. So whatever. So that was like 2 years ago. And so he runs into the squad room, which is just someone's bump where they sleep, because we didn't have squadrons back then. And he's like, hey, anyone know, hey, Randy, do you know anything about the Beretta? It's like, well, come with me. So I go into the PL's office, and the platoon sergeant, and they got the Beretta in front of me, and he's like, all right, disassemble it, go. And I'm like, flip it over. There's a secret button here. I know it's somewhere. And so you got to push something. There's a detent in this thing. So, I couldn't even do the first step. I had no idea where the thing to push and then so they're all just looking at me. I'm like, yep. That didn't work. Wow. They were so mad. So I get to the Q course, and of course I knew how to do the M60, of course. So I knew all those 4 American weapons, but I'd never fired an AK. I'd never fired FNL. I've never touched any other pistols except for that Beretta once. So we got 10 pistols. We got 14 rifles. We got 14 machine guns. We got submachine guns. everything has got, rate of fire. You got to memorize all this knowledge about it. And then you got to disassemble and assemble. And that's the first test in the Bravos. You get all the weapons courses, and then you get the box test. Like, here, put these weapons together.
Oh, they're all disassembled.
Yeah. You're like, what the? And so, that was hard for me. And I was like, oh my God. And so, I practiced I had a friend of mine. He was from Boston. He was a National Guard Boston guy, and he was in the course, and he was as frustrated as I. And he's like, I can't do it. I'm all thumbs. You know me. I'm all thumbs. Anyway, so, I get through that, and then I get to the air, identifying enemy air, which was a pass or fail part. I don't know anything about planes. I can't even identify a freaking Hercules, even though I jumped out of them, but I can't differentiate from anything else with a propeller. And so they had these slides, like a slide, not computer slides, like, but exactly. Exactly. It was like the and I was like, and so they let them have this all night, and I'd be all night going,
yep,
one of these is a mirage, and finally I just couldn't find enough difference in the airplanes to figure it out. So I would remember they used the same slides when they did the test. I memorized the cloud formations. And so I memorized the cloud formations, and I was like, okay, that's a mirage. And then I was like, okay, that's a Hercules. And so that's the only way I got through that too. I wasn't a very good Bravo, as you can see. And then Mortars was my math. So we got the Mortars, and I ended up doing all the train ups for all the other guys in the class while they were preparing for the test, because I got Mortars first time. I understood everything that was going on. And then they're like, hey, you're going to be at our study class tonight. And I was like, okay. And then I train them all. So nice. I did Mortars. I was a mortar guy. And then we did anti-aircraft, like Stinger, red eye stuff. And I think that was like most of what and then we didn't even do like no one knew Ranger School stuff, because that was going to be taught in Robin Sage.
Yeah.
So I get through the Q course, the Bravo course, and I get to Robin Sage and pass Robin Sage and go to the language course. So I get Spanish, and I'm honor grad of Spanish. I get to group, and I'm like, I'm not taking leave. I'm going straight to group. I don't want to miss a deployment. Let's go. And so I get there, and the sergeant major's like, hey, you know what? Have you thought about going to the Delta course? I was like, been there, done that. Didn't work out for me. He's like, oh, okay. You know what? You're Bravo. We need an armor. Perfect. You're perfect timing. I'm like, no, I'm a 18 Bravo with a 2+2+ in Spanish and a Ranger tab and a CIB. And I think you got me confused with whatever MOS an armor is, because I'm not that. And they didn't have armors at the company level back then. They had a battalion armor, and he had and they had a Bravo doing the armor's job. And he's like, that guy's been down there for like 2 years. I really got to rotate him out. I was like, 2 years? What?
Like, I don't want to be there 2 years.
I was like, how long do I have to spend there? He's like, oh, like only 3 months. I was like, can I get that in writing? He's like, who the hell do you think you are? I was like, you just told me that guy was there for 2 years. Yeah. He's like, get out of my office and report to the first sergeant. So now I'm the armorer. And I'm like, dang. So the first thing I do is like, I have to do an inventory. And I was like, man, this inventory is so hard, because all the guns are not in numerical order by their serial numbers. If they were in numerical order by their serial numbers, it'd be so much easier. I didn't understand that over time, the weapons had, the weapons were in order by their teams. And so were the PVS 7s and everything, right? And so that's why all the teams knew where their weapons were, but I didn't know that. And so when I inventoried them, I was like, I'm going to fix this place when I sign for it. So I signed for it, and I order everything by serial.
Sure, you were really popular.
That's right. The teams come in like, what the hell's going on?
Who did this?
I was like, oh, but the inspections are so quick though.
No.
So anyway, I did that for 3 months, and basically the teams deployed, and that was my job, to sit in the arms room in case someone needed me. And so when everyone deployed, I bought a beeper, and I said, I will be here from 2 to 4. And then I did PT all day. I did PT in the morning. Then I ran through the backwoods up to Ardennes and
Why?
swam for 2 hours. And then I went across the street because I was running through the woods. That's what Green Berets do. So I ran through the woods up to Ardennes. I swam at the 50-meter pool for an hour and a half. Across the street, went to the gym and worked out. Then I ran back. Then I ate lunch, and then I slept for an hour. And then at 2:00, I opened the door, and I did that for 3 months. And while I was there, a piece of paper came across my desk, and it said, "We're looking for volunteers to go to Lancero, Tigre, and Cabal school." And it says, and next to each one, it said Cabal's Guatemala, Tigre's Ecuador, and Lancero is in Colombia. They're all their commando schools. And I was like, and so I shared a work area with the supply guy. And I yelled at the door. I was like, "Hey man, you know what this stuff is? What's this Lancero school?" He's like, it's like Ranger school, but it's in Spanish. It's like, anything's better than here. So I signed my name on the bottom, and I submitted it. And the only reason I saw it is because I was on distro, because I was in the headquarters element.
Yeah, of course.
Normal people, the only other people that would get distro would be like the sergeant major, and then he would pass it to the team sergeants, and the team sergeants would probably, I don't want to send anyone to Lancero school because they might die.
I'll hold on to this.
So I kept a copy of it, and then every day I'd call. I didn't know anything, right? I didn't know S3 group. I didn't know operations group, or I don't know who these people are. I don't know what rank they are. So I called the number to the operations sergeant major of group. I'm like, "Hey man, did I get in the Lancero school?" He's like, "Who's this?" "This is Staff Sergeant Searles." He's like, "I don't know. I haven't picked them yet." I was like, "Oh, okay. When are you going to pick them?" It's like, "Shut the hell up. I'll tell you when
Stop
you're
bothering me.
That's right. So next week, I'm like, "Hey, man, did I get the Lancero school?" It's like, "Quit calling here. You're not supposed to call here. No one calls here." And so, I just have sent emails. I called, and I got in. So the qualifications were, you had to be Ranger tabbed. You had to have a minimum of a 2.2 in Spanish. And that was like it. And I was like, "Hey, that's me. Me, that's me." So, and there's not a lot, believe it or not, there's not a lot of people like that in group.
Yep.
And so I'm one of 7 guys they select, and we go to a briefing. I don't know. I'm going to name drop. Do you know Colonel Sean Mulholland?
Yeah. Why do I know that name?
He was commander of 7th Group at one time. He's a Lancero instructor, and he also, I think he was a liaison to some 3-letter guys at one time as well.
Did he become? Did he continue? Was he in the Chicot Valley in OEF?
I don't think he.
Maybe not.
I want to say he didn't participate a lot in those wars, but he was also SOC South commander for a while too. But anyway, so he had just been through Lancero school, and he had been selected to serve as the Lancero instructor the following year. And so he was giving a brief on what to expect in Lancero school. And it was just like, okay. And so he's looking at his notes. He's like, okay, this day's just going to suck. So you just done that on this day, just it'll give you over eventually. On this day, you're going to do this and that. And there's some stupid stuff, like they're going to throw dynamite next to you and rocks are going to fall, but just cover your head. You'll be good. And then, there's snake wrestling, and then the electric eel fight. And
is that for real?
Yeah. So I was like, this sounds cool. It's like a lot better than Ranger school. That's like, that place is boring. So I was all stoked. And then I get back. So then on the 3 months, my 3 months are almost up. We're not going until September. And it's actually a week before. Oh, I know. I'll get to that. So I go to the guy, and I go to the sergeant major that put me in the arms room and so after I got the arms room, a week later, I got a letter. I got through distro. It said, "Randall Surles assigned to arms room for 3 months for these dates, this date to this date."
Okay.
Sweet. So
nice.
A week out, I'm like, "Hey, Sergeant Major, how you doing?" Bam. He's like, "I know, I'm finding someone. Don't worry about it. You'll be replaced." So this guy shows up like the day before I'm supposed to leave. And I'm like, this is what I do. And here's the other thing, Ryan. I didn't know about weapons cards I was a ranger. I didn't know about accountability. And so when people drew weapons, I just counted them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you got 10 guns? Okay, bring 10 guns back. And that's what I did for 3 months. And I never lost anything. But I never signed things out by serial number. And so I basically went from 0 to hero with the teams, because they're like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah,
and then it takes 5 seconds to the arms room now. It's amazing, and so I just told that guy, he's like, so what do you do? And I was like, well, when they come in, they know where their guns are, and don't put them in serial number order.
Yeah, pro tip.
Like that. Don't do that. Pro tip. And then I was like, and then I just I write it down on this piece of paper. I was like, hey, Matt took 10 M4s or whatever, well, M16A2s. And he's like, I think there's supposed to be more to this. And I was like, I don't know. No one told me how to do it. So this is how I've been doing it. It's worked so far. I've never failed an inspection. Anyway, so I go to the B team. I go to the sergeant major. He's like, you're going to be in Bravo company. I was like, cool. Where are they? He's like, right over there. So I go over to the Bravo company. I was like, hey, sergeant major, I'm in Bravo company. He's like, great. I know exactly what team I'm going to send you on. I was like, cool. He's like, they're not here. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, they're deployed. I was like, I was like, so what am I going to do? He's like, you're going to be on the B team. I was like, what does the B team do? And he's like, we do all the administrative work. I was like, oh, you don't have an arms room or something stupid like that. And they're like, so I get there. He's like, no, you just got to do the admin work. I was like, geez, when I was in the Q course, he's like, oh, you got a war story for me? I was like, well, I got a couple of war stories because I was in Panama. He's like, well, so was I. I was like, oh, cool. Kudos.
Yeah.
He's like, and then I was like, when I was in the Q course, they didn't have enough people fill in SEER school, and they said that we could walk in on Fridays. Do you mind if I walk in and try to walk in on SEER school? He's like, I don't give a shit. I was like, cool.
Wow, nice.
So the next day, well, I didn't know anything about accountability. I didn't know I had to sign out. I've been for 3 months. No one cared where I was, as long as I gave out weapons. So I went to SEER school. I showed up at SWIC. I found the SEER room. They called everyone's name out. They didn't call mine. The guy came up and was like, what? I don't have your name. I was like, yeah, I was wondering if you had any extra slots. I heard you guys had some walk-ins. He's like, what group you in? I was like, 7th. He's like, yeah, okay, so was I. You're cool. I was like, let me see your physical. And I was like, your physical's out of date. I was like, I just got through the Q course. Oh, okay. You're probably good then. All right, no problem. Let's get in the back of the truck. So I disappeared for 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And so I go to SEER school. I graduate SEER school. No one comes to it because no one thought I was there. I come back. I show up at the B team, and they're like, where the fuck have you been? I was like, I went to SEER school. You said I could go to SEER school. It's like, I didn't know you were going tomorrow. I was like, well, here's my certificate. I was in SEER school. He's like, all right, well, we got it at AWOL, but I guess we'll take you off that. All right. Okay. So I get back, and they're like, okay, we're not going to take you off AWOL. You're in SEER school. Great. And I was like, all right, so your team's here. I was like, oh, great. And it's like, so they're 772. They're over there just, getting formation. So I introduce myself. I go back to the team. They're like, hey, we don't have a medic, and we got 100% today, 100% inspection. But I heard you failed out of the medic course. Can you lay out all the medical equipment? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, it's this laundry list of crap, like left butt plunger, and I don't know what the hell. Yeah, so I kind of make my way through it. I'm digging through it, and the PL comes in. The team leader comes in, and like, hey, welcome to the team. Hey, I saw your name. I saw your name in a list to go to Lancero school. I was like, really? Cool. He's like, you might want to go check with the B team. I was like, all right, yeah. I haven't finished laying this out. It's like, yeah, just go check, come back. I was like, cool. So B team's like, hey, Lancero school's like, oh yeah, we couldn't find you for 3 weeks because I go schools guy. I was like, I was in SEER school, man. He's like, great. Yeah, here's your orders. You leave Monday. It's Friday. You just graduated SEER school. You got to go to the comptroller and draw your advance. You got to go get your tickets because you got to go. Back then you had to go to the ticket people and get a ticket. And then here's the packing list. And I'm like, cool. And so I go back into my team sergeant, I'm like, hey, supposed to go to Lancero school on Monday? He's like, you are? He's like, yeah, here's my orders. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, do you mind if I take the day off I got a packing list. I got to go get my ticket. And he's like, yeah, sure. So I do that. I did all that stuff. I show up Monday in my best suit, my best confirmation suit, which is the only suit I brought from home. And because I thought that's the way you travel, just like you do with, sports in high school. And the other 6 guys are all in jeans and t-shirts. And
no.
And I'm like, hey guys, this is gonna be great. And they're like, get the hell away from me, you dweeb. And I'm just like, and I'm the only gringo. Everyone else is like, there's a Colombian American, there's 2 Puerto Rican Americans, there's a couple Cuban Americans. There's one gringo who's like an E7 or something. And he speaks perfect Spanish and everything. He's a Ranger as well. And I'm just like, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. Like, shut the hell up and get away from me. Do not get a seat next to me. Sit in the back. And I'm the lowest ranking guy. I got promoted to E6 in the course. And so we get there. It's like we get there like a month early to acclimatize and do workout in the heat and stuff. And so we do that. I'm feeling good. And for some reason, these guys have been down there, Colombia, and they know what's going on. I have no idea. And I got the briefing about the snakes and the everything, but I didn't know what else is going on. And they just said, hey, we're going to report with bald heads and you're going to do it too. I was like, all right. Hey, it's not like I have Rangers, whatever. So we shave our heads. We go, and of course, it's freaking hot as hell in Colombia. I got sunburned like the first day. We show up, and it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest things I did. And the hardest thing what makes it hard is the uncertainty that if something goes wrong, that I will actually be medevaced and taken care of.
Yeah, you just don't know.
No, that's right. And I know the Amazon has bad things, and we are going into the Amazon, and I saw someone get evac. It took 5 hours for a truck to get to him, and I don't know how long before we actually got to a hospital after that. So it was always in the back of your head. But there was just unqualified, unsafe things happening all the time. One of the obstacle courses, every obstacle was 6 to 8 feet off the ground, and people broke their legs, people broke their neck, and like probably the worst obstacle was an 8 feet log. You had to climb this slanted log without using your hands to the 8-foot one. Then you had to balance on the log, and then you had to jump 2 feet onto a perpendicular log that was 6 feet. So 2 feet down, 2 feet up, and then land like this, and then, balance your way to the end. And we had to do that every day. So it wasn't like one and done. You're like, hey, I did it. I survived. It was like every freaking day. And then they had all these other obstacles that weren't as bad, but they weren't safe.
What about the snake wrestling? What is that?
Hold on. This is a long course. I'm gonna give you the 10-minute version. So they have like city week, learn stuff, all the stuff like you do in Ranger school, and then you have a mountain week, and then you have jungle. Well, not week, but like it's 2.5 months long. So like a month, 3 weeks in the like a Fort Benning base, and then 4 weeks in the mountains, and then 4 weeks in the jungle. And it's crazy rucksacking through gravel, and it's and all of the courses are in Spanish. And yes, I speak a 2+2+, but I've never spoken to anyone that goes blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then technical language too. I don't know I don't know how to say, raid or ambush. So they're teaching us tactics. So I'm learning. I mean, ultimately, in the end, right, I come out of there with a robust technical Spanish that serves me for 7th group for the rest of my career, because every time I go to South America, I know how to teach tactics because I was taught the tactics. I know all the words. And also I've been taught the logistics, the legalities of Colombian tactics. Like, hey, there's no double tapping. There's a lot of legal actions they've restricted their army to do because of, there's civilians on the battlefield and things like that. And that's something that no one would know unless I had told them, because we go down there and teach our tactics all the time without thinking about that. And so the first 3 weeks they have like crazy POW, like people hunting you down. And if they get you, they throw you in a POW camp where they're dipping you upside down in a well to reveal information. And you just don't want to get caught. Right. And so everyone knows the area but me, because they're all from the area, all the other troopers, and the other Americans are immediately making friends. They all speak Spanish, and I get stuck with my Lancero buddy, who's a great guy, and I'm still friends with today. There's hand to hand, but hey, you didn't hit him hard enough. Let's do this again, And then at the end, you have to beat the crap out of your Ranger buddy, your Lancero buddy. They're like, okay, get in the middle. We want to see blood. If a tooth falls out, even more points. Everything's based on points. We saw an American go in there and paired up with his buddy, who was like half his size, the other American gringo. And they're like, ready, fight. And the American's like, uppercut, bam. And that guy goes flying back on the ground. And the American jumps on him, pins his hands to the side. He's just like, bam, 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 bam. And my Lancero guy's looking at me, and they're like, stop. And so they stop the fight. And then the Colombian or the other guys have like standing there weaving. And they're like, okay, we're going to start it over. That wasn't fair. I think you started before we said go. So ready, go. America's like, bam, 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 tooth, blood. And my guy's like, can we fake fight? I was like, yeah, I think we should. That's a better idea. And so when it gets to us, we're kind of like, we're like, bam, bam. They're like, you guys are faking. And you're like, they're like, whatever. Why would you have to fight your buddy? Fight someone else. Man. Anyway, so that was that. There was I taught us how to rappel. And then I didn't know my Spanish sucked, so I would always get things wrong. Every time you walk somewhere, you had to, it's like Sears School, you have to say boots,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to, whenever you're going from one point to the other, you have to say the Lancero Creed, which I could not remember. I could remember the first 10 words. It was like lealtad, valor, sacrificio, tres palabras, que me lleve. That's all I could remember, right? So I would just sprint. Like, where are we going?
Everywhere.
Over there. I'm like, lealtad, valor. and then I had Lancero Creed. We had to say it 4 times a day, and I couldn't remember anything past the first stanza. And they would stand next to me, the instructors. And he's like, what the hell are you saying? I was like, this is the Lancero Creed. He's like, you don't know it, do you? It's like, I have a really heavy accent, so I understand why you might not understand what I'm saying. He's like, do push-ups, do laps, run around so yeah, it was just all that stuff. Anyway, so we get through that, survive, and then we get to the second part, the mountain phase, and it's just normal mountain phase stuff. But it was just patrolling, and I'm the mentor. Well, I'm failing all the written tests because I can't read it, but I'm teaching everyone how to do land nav, but I'm failing the written land nav test. And because it says, you are, going from here on a mission to do this, blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know I know how to plot these points, but I don't know what we're trying to do back as or what, because I can't understand the terminology. So I fail all the written tests and I pass all the practicals. The final test, we come out of the mountains and they got the piece de combate efectivo, the combat effective, obstacle course. And he's like, okay, drop all your rocks. Okay, we're going to go one at a time. You're going to go here and you're going to do whatever they say. I was like, okay. Everyone's like freaking out because they all know what's going on. Because the thing is, every day was, what's going to happen? What new hell is going to happen today? But they all knew, right? Even in Ranger School and the Q course and SFAS, you heard the rumors, people talk, right? You kind of know what to expect. And so these guys knew everything that was going to happen, but me. So the first step is, they have not concertina wire, bob wire in a cylinder that you have to crawl through in a ditch that's filled half with water with broken glass. It smells like piss, and it's 400 or 500 meters. Oh. And it wasn't very big to begin with. So 20 people went before me, but they were all 110, shoulders the size of my thigh. And so when I was in there, I'm the first big guy, and I'm like, oh God. And when I got through it, I had a collar, no shirt, ripped scars everywhere. My pants were ripped from the mid-thigh down and gone. So I had basically shorts, and my boots were shredded. And all the way through, they have these fire pits along the way, and they're throwing hot coals over you. Go faster, go faster! And then these guys with sticks would like jab you in the gut while you're going, in the side while you're going. And then about halfway through, this guy would come in, and they found a guy that spoke English, and he's like, "Hey, man, you can quit anytime you want. Why are you doing this? What do you get out of this? What's the purpose?" And meanwhile, this guy's jabbing me. He's like, "Sing, Ranger, sing, you stupid, you dumb American." And I'm like, "Bye, bye, Miss America, bye. Drove my Chevy to the left." Sing a better song than that. And I just kept singing my song. And then the PSYOPs guys talking to me, get to the end. And then the guy, they said, "Go over there, run over there." So I run over there. There's a rock. It says, "Nunca baja su guardia," which means never lower your guard, except I didn't know that. And also the words were all kind of scratched out. And I was like, it says, "Read the rock." This guy's coming. Read the rock is like, "Nunca ba," go, never, go underneath your. And the last one was guardia. And I thought it said guerra, which is war. So never go underneath your war. And I was like, I don't know what it means. And then he punches me as hard as he can in the stomach. He's like, "Understand now?" I was like, "I don't understand why you punched me." And then there's an American exchange instructor on the next hill. And he's like, "Hey, dumbass, never lower your guard." And I was like, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense, sir. I appreciate the help." And he's like, "You understand? Lancero never lowers his guard." I was like, "I understand. Lancero never lowers his guard." It's like, "Great. See that guy on that hill? There's this little 17-year-old 100-pound, 50-pound, kid dressed in, as a soldier." He's like, "Yeah, 3 minutes, hand-to-hand combat, beat his ass." I was like, "Cool." So I run up there. I mean, the guy's like to my, he's here to me. He's just a little kid, and he's like in a Karate Kid position. And I'm just like, and 7 guys behind me sneak up on me, tackle me, pin me to the ground, and kick the shit out of me.
Jeez.
I'm grabbing a guy and throwing him like off the cliff because they're little. They're like 60 pounds, but I think one American, they broke his ribs, and so I'm all huddled up. And then after 3 minutes, they stop and they back up, and I jump up and I'm like, "Never lower your guard." I'm spinning around, and then you got to do a shooting exercise, and that was it. So that's just the first phase.
What? Oy. All right. Well. So we'll have to do a round 2 because you spend a lot more time in the service, and we'll get into some more of the combat stories from there. This feels like a combat story, but we'll pick up next week on this. I hope you enjoyed that combat story with Randy. He has a wealth of stories under the belt, as you can tell. He's a writer and helps other people bring out their own stories, so you can just see that it comes from a place of passion, all the background that he brings. We're going to have round 2 with him. We didn't plan to do rounds 1 and 2, but as we were going through our interview to begin with, we just realized there was so much more to unearth there. So please do stay tuned for round 2 with Randy, where we get into more of the post 9/11 combat experience. But if this is anything like the first, you can imagine there's a lot of craziness and hilarity that ensues. Just a couple comments that we got from folks. From AMDYFYN, an Apple Podcast 5-star review. "It's great that you gave voice to Intel analysts from 2 distinctly different administrations," which is very cool. Obviously, that's a nod to our most recent interview with Beth Sanner, juxtaposed with our previous interview from a PDB briefer to the Obama administration versus Beth, who was the PDB briefer to the Trump administration. And then similarly, Wallabach1269 on the YouTube video for Beth says, "Thanks a lot, Ryan, for another jewel. You represent the highest level of journalism, reporting, podcasting, or whatever this new genre is called. The fact that you interview PDBs from both sides of the aisle proves your integrity. I particularly like the fact that you never begin 2 interviews with the same question. Merci beaucoup. Keep it up." Much appreciated. This kind of feedback keeps us going here. It is tough to make sure we get something that keeps people interested and engaged, but it's a little bit easier because I think a lot of you have the same interests as me. So if I could find one of these folks interesting, I have a strong feeling you all will too. Thank you so much for sticking it out with us this long. We greatly appreciate it. And as always, stay safe.